Hey everybody, this is Peter with Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to be talking about something a little bit unique. Recently, we were reached out to by Brandon Lee of the Ravens Ridge Emporium, and he was letting us know that he is coming out with a Kickstarter soon for a solo RPG all about map making and creating worlds. And I said, you know what? Yeah, I'm interested. I'm intrigued. And so he sent us the PDF of his rules as they're currently written. And I got because I'm a tactile person, I went ahead and printed everything out and got it to the table. And I played through Cartograph, a map making solo RPG. And so the idea behind Cartograph is that you're taking on the role of a cartographer who, for one reason or another, has left their home and traveled to a new land that they've never been to before. And while there, they're mapping out the land, its locations, and they're journaling about the peoples that they meet and the journey that they go on. And so it's just a really, really unique and interesting idea that I found a lot of fun. So these are the things you're going to need in order to play Cartograph. You're going to need a copy of the rules. You're going to need a piece of paper to draw your map on. You're going to need a pencil and an eraser. You're also going to need a few more pieces of paper or a small book or journal so that you can write all of your notes and your journaling to tell the adventure that your cartographer is going to go on. And you're going to need a piece of paper to keep track of your character. And then you're also going to need 3 sets of D6s, and these sets need to be somewhat distinguishable. So in my game, I used a set of red dice, a set of orange dice, and a set of metal dice. And in each one, I had 4 of each kind. And then you're going to also need a deck, a regular deck of playing cards with the jokers included. Once you have all of those items, you are ready and prepared to play Cartograph. So the game is full of rollable charts that you're going to be utilizing, starting off with creating your cartographer. So your cartographer, you're going to figure out who they are, where they're from, and the journey that they have taken to begin their exploration of this new land. Now, once they have arrived at the new land, the game itself really begins, and it's broken down into 3 main phases that you're going to be looping through again and again as your cartographer journeys across this land. And during that process, you will also then be drawing out your map on just a regular sheet of paper. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 3 main phases that you'll be taking as your cartographer journeys across this new land. So the 3 main phases of Cartograph are exploration, arrival, and rest. In each of those phases, you're going to be doing a few different things, but let's go ahead and start with the exploration phase. In the exploration phase, you're going to actually be rolling some dice and you're going to be drawing your map. So this is how you start the game. You're going to have a blank sheet of paper for your map. You're going to have your 3 sets of dice, and you start with the exploration phase. 1 set of dice is going to stand in as your landmarks. The other set is going to be your biomes. And then the 3rd set are known as temporary dice, and those will come and go as you play as well. And when you have them, you get to choose, are they going to be extra landmarks or extra biomes? But those are your dice, and you're going to go ahead and start the game off with a certain amount depending on the character that you have made and the way that the rules explain that. And then you're going to go ahead and roll them onto the piece of paper, kind of clumped close-ish together in order to make a tight beginning for your map is probably the best thing to do. But if you want to just roll them and see where they go, that's fine too. If any of the dice roll off the paper, you go ahead and bring them back onto the paper or re-roll them wherever you see fit. Once you have rolled the dice, you're going to start then with the landmark dice. You're going to take your pencil and you're going to draw the beginnings of a coastline around each of the landmark dice. If you were to completely encircle one of the die, then you've made a small island. Otherwise, you're just going to draw around maybe 2 or 3 sides of the die, creating the coastline of your land that you're discovering. Once you have done that with the landmark dice, you're going to take those out and remove them to the dice pool. And then you're going to go ahead and take a look at the biome dice. These are going to decide what types of areas are on this island. Maybe there's open land, maybe there are mountains, maybe there's a lake, maybe a forest. Depending on the number on the side of the die, that decides what type of biome it is. And if you are to roll doubles, maybe you roll 2 1s, then at that point you would have, instead of a small forest, you could have a larger forest. Once you have drawn the different areas of the biomes, you'll go ahead and remove those dice from the piece of paper as well, put all of your dice in the dice pool, and you have finished the exploration phase. Now that you've begun drawing your map, you can go ahead and go to the first arrival phase. In the arrival phase, you are going to go ahead and choose for your cartographer where they want to begin on the map, which one of the landmarks and or biomes they want to begin their journey in. Since this is your very first time playing, then you're going to skip the journey table portion of the arrival phase and go straight to the location table of the arrival phase. You're going to go through your rule book, find the correct table that corresponds to the type of location you have chosen to start in, and you will take your deck of cards, flip the card over, and use the card to correspond with that location table. And that's going to give you things to interact with, things to think about, questions to answer, and you're going to use those to begin your cartographer's journal. Now, the arrival phase, again, is going to happen later, and when it does, you're going to begin journeying as well, which will involve flipping cards for the journey table also, but that will come up in the next arrival phase. The last thing you're going to do on the arrival phase is name the location on the map that you've just interacted with. So if it's a city that you've interacted with, you now can name the city. There's also a handy table in the rule book for names that you can name the cities, but of course you can name them whatever you would like as well. And there's a table for naming towns and forests and lakes. So if you're going to be naming it in the game, there's a table in the rule book for you to utilize, or you can just make up a name as you see fit. But that will be the end of the arrival phase when you have named the location that your cartographer has just interacted with. And then it's time to take your rest. So the third and final phase of a round is the resting phase, and depending on what type of location you're in determines what types of action you can take during the resting phase. If you're in a settlement, a city, a town, or an encampment, then you can take the settlement actions during the rest. And if you're out in the wilderness, if you're along a lake or near a mountain or in the open lands, then you can take the wilderness actions during the rest. But before you do any actions, you're going to remove all of your temporary dice from your dice pool. And then you're also going to remove one of your landmark and or biome dice from your dice pool. Then, if you're in a settlement, so again, an encampment, a town, or a city, then you're going to roll a d6 to determine how much your wares are worth, any wares that your character might have on them. That way, if you decide to take the selling action, then that's how much coins you'll get back. If you roll a 1 or a 2 on the d6, it's going to be worth 1 coin. If you roll the 3 or the 4, then your wares will be worth 2 coin. And if you roll a 5 or a 6, then your wares will be worth 3 coins. So that helps you determine that. But again, if you're in the wilderness, you won't need to worry about that step. And then the last step of the resting phase is going to be your actions. You're going to choose 2 of those actions, and they have to be different actions. You can't do the same action twice. You'll take those 2 actions, and that's going to either be you spending food or wares to heal yourself or sell those things, or it might be going on a hunt if you're in the wilderness so that you gain some more food, or it might just be camping so that you get some rest. But those are going to be the actions that you're going to take during the rest phase. And once you finish the rest phase, you are now ready to restart the loop again with the exploration phase. And you're going to be taking these 3 phases again and again and again, flipping cards and rolling dice and drawing your map. And that is how Cartograph is played. So now that you know the 3 main phases of the game, you understand that you're going to be playing the game in those phases in rounds. You're going to have the exploration phase, arrival phase, rest phase. exploration phase, arrival phase, rest phase. And you're going to do that again and again until the game ends. But how does the game end? The game can end in one of multiples of ways. To win the game, you want to have a continual coastline with 10 named locations on your map. Now, you can also have a continual coastline that makes an island, one big circular or whatever shape it takes island on your map. And if it's a map that has an island on it, then that island has to have at least 5 named locations on it. But if your coastline is running from one end of the page all the way to just the other side of the page, then you're shooting for 10 named locations. Now, again, this is a very flexible game. You can make the end however you want it. Once you feel like the map is just done, then you can call it quits if you would like. But there are ways to lose Cartograph. You can lose in one of 3 ways. You can lose if your cartographer takes more than 3 wounds in the game. Once they get that 4th wound, they're dead and you have lost. You can also lose the 3rd time that you have drawn the joker of a specific color. When you draw a joker, it gets shuffled back into the deck. And if you were to happen to go through the deck enough times that you have drawn the same joker 3 times, so the black joker or the red joker, then you have also lost. And you can also lose one other way. If you run out of dice in your dice pool, then you have lost the game. Now, again, this is a very rules light, very friendly game. There are rules in here for a friendly game where you can't lose. Your cartographer's not going to die. You can just keep playing until you've finished the map you want to finish. And even though we've talked about this being a solo RPG, there are rules in here for how to play this game with multiple players if you wanted to. Now, to be totally honest, I'm not a huge solo RPG player. I live to play games with my friends and my family. So solo RPGs aren't usually my go-to, but this game intrigued me specifically as a game master, somebody who runs role-playing games for others. I loved the idea that I could, with a few hours of my time, play a game that by the end of it, I'm going to have a map of a world that I didn't know before, and I'm going to have populated it with locations and peoples, NPCs, and a cartographer that I can use as an NPC in any of the role-playing games that I like to run for my players. So whenever I want to get my creative juices flowing, whenever I want to play a game that's going to end in me having an actionable item that I can use in my other games, Cartograph is going to be one of my go-tos at this point, I think. I played for at least 2 to 3 hours, and at the end of it, I had my map, I had a whole bunch of NPCs and ideas for other role-playing games that I can run. So for me, Cartograph is 2 thumbs up. I really enjoyed it. I think there's a lot of potential there, and I think that it's a game that's flexible enough that once you've been playing it a bit, you can add your own flavor into this game as well. It doesn't just have to live as is. So I'm really looking forward to checking out the Kickstarter when it goes live here in the near future. And I want to thank Brandon Lee from Ravens Ridge Emporium for sending this game our way, letting us know about it. And I wish them the best of luck on their Kickstarter. Everybody, thank you for watching. I hope that this video intrigued you to check out the Kickstarter when it goes live for Cartograph. If it did, you can head on over to the ravensridgeemporium.com to check out their website, some of the other things that they make. They make artisan dice. If you're somebody who likes to hoard those clickety-clacks, you can check them out. And don't forget to stick around here on our YouTube channel, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and watch all the other great reviews that we're putting out on a regular basis. Everybody, until we talk again, keep on playing games.